All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker. Up on TSN 2. Bryan Hayes, Yo-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on?
I find tensions to be high in the sports world. I don't know what it is. Golfers are smashing sprinkler heads into pieces, throwing clubs, just going crazy. College coaches are having meltdowns. Soccer coaches are getting red cards in big games.
Yep. And
Leaf fans, with every loss, are just, man, they get disappointed. The build up to 3 games, they're like, man, love what I'm seeing. Team's got a chance. They lose a tough one in Nashville. Go to the gym. It's like clockwork. They're like, that's the same team, Jeff, I've been telling you about all year long. I'm like, come on, man.
I know, man. It's
Dude, I get it.
Quick reaction.
It is a quick reaction, and I get it. It's easy to fall back and say, that's the team they are. You know, you got to win a game. Would it have been helpful to win in Nashville? Absolutely. Like just try to get this Atlantic thing. Florida stumbled earlier in the day, but then Florida goes ahead and picks up a little cheesy, greasy one against Pitt yesterday. Yeah. And it wouldn't shock me if they ripped off 3 or more, and then it's kind of game over. But it's just not the end of the world. In the West, you got Winnipeg. In the East, you got Washington. Then you got some good teams that are kind of inconsistent, like basically the whole league, the top, even the teams that are making the playoffs. And then you got the dumpster fires at the bottom. That's what you got.
It is.
Sorry, that was a little long-winded, fellas.
No, but it's
like it.
It's overreaction
like
because how many games they got left? 12?
They got 12 left, yeah.
I don't think they're going to go 12-0. So, I mean, there will be losses. And relax.
Well,
okay, so
every San Jose beats Nashville.
I think you guys are losing your minds here.
Okay, because you hated Saturday night.
Well, no, but this is at the core. I got a little pie chart I might get to.
Oh,
today.
I love the pie chart.
I got a little pie chart I might decide to sprinkle at some point into the show. I got a lot today. All right, I got a rankings of the 7 Canadian fan bases and how they're experiencing things right now. From at the top, who's having the most fun, to at the bottom, who's having the least fun.
We should just, I could just put
I got that later. I got that later.
Wow. I'm glad I got my little blurb in at the beginning.
But here is at the core, I think, of every Leaf fan.
Yes.
Is that they just are begging for this team, and specifically the leadership, to do something different, to make it feel a little bit different. And that, because of the game on Saturday night, doesn't mean that can't happen. But there actually is like a carrot that you're chasing here that is very different than anything in the past, right? The Leaf team, this Leaf organization literally never wins their division. Never, ever. They've done it like twice in 100 years. So it never actually happens. And
has this group of players ever done it?
No. Well, the Canadian division, that was it. The COVID year, it counts, but it doesn't really count because there's no fans, and you're playing 7 Canadian teams, and they ran away with that division, to their credit. And we know what happened in the playoffs. They're up 3-1 against the Habs. The rest is history. But there actually is something worthy of chasing down the stretch.
In the regular season.
Yes. And you're up 2-0 against one of the worst teams in the league that have been awful all year, and they were horrible in the first period. Horrible. The Leafs rolled in there and just smacked them around for 20 minutes.
That was an 8-1 win.
And that's what it should have been. An easy 2 points. Take your points, go home. Florida, you're behind us. Tampa, you're behind us. Come get some. And instead, the Leafs get into the first intermission, put their feet up, and say, well, we've done our job here, boys.
You're right about Nashville. They get smacked, and then they're like, fine, take the 2 points.
Yeah, and that's what drives, I think, Leaf fans crazy. You're going to lose games. Of course you're going to lose games. Of course. They're not going 12-0 down the stretch. Right. Neither's Florida, neither's Tampa. That's not expected. If you're expecting that, you're delusional, and you don't actually know what's going on here. That's not at the core of the reaction that O's getting, that you're getting, that I'm getting.
No, and I get that, and you make a great point. The context of it means a lot.
That's where it's like 2 points are right there. You've got a wounded duck there in Nashville. They're
dying to go home.
They're dying to leave. Like their U-Hauls are packed. They've got everything done. All you got to do is come out in the second and lean on them. Instead, they were horrendous in the second period.
That was the crazy part.
Horrendous.
Because all I kept thinking about in that first period was like, God, Nashville looks awful.
Awful. And the Leafs are just out here flying, and it's like two different teams.
I felt bad for Andrew Burnett, but we
call out
him,
your team and all that.
But then they got going, and the Leafs absolutely went to sleep.
Yes.
And it was, it was noticeable. That's the difference. It was noticeable, like, okay, maybe they'll turn it on. Maybe they'll find, like you mentioned, Florida didn't have their goods yesterday, but they greased their way back. They tied it with 5 minutes left. They went in a shootout. Like, they got their 2 points against a team that wants, that's going home, Pittsburgh. Yeah. But Saturday night, it was a tale of two teams. It was 2 games within one.
And you can go back, a couple weeks before that with San Jose in town. They're up 2-0 against San Jose, and they piss away a point. Yeah. And that's 3 points where over the course of the season, you can look at different games, different things. But when you're up 2-0 against an awful team that is dead in the water, you got to close that. That's all it is. Like that. You don't have to get deeper than that. You don't have to look at specific players. You don't have to say, well, what happened here? Why didn't he change this or that? Or it's really not that deep. If you're up 2-0 against Nashville or San Jose, you got to close.
Yeah. And against Nashville, Hayes, it might have been as simple as you play for number 3, and that ends it.
And it's over. The white flag is out.
It was almost over. And if you play for number 3 and just do number 3, and that really they say, oh, fine, take the 2 points.
Right.
And
if
get
they
out
score
of here.
early in the second period, it's curtain.
I think it's over.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or even if you get to the second intermission up 2-0.
Because Nashville, if you look at it, had scored 4 goals in their previous 4 games.
They never scored
goals. They weren't scoring. And then they find a 5 spot.
Guys, that team,
Exactly.
I'm telling you, that team, if they
Exactly.
think that they're going to be any better next year, I'm sorry. They got that.
You plug Yossi back. They've got some players there. I'm telling you.
They need some guys to snap out of it.
Well,
though.
I agree. I agree.
There's a couple guys making some money down there that it's like, what
Steven
are they doing?
Stamkos looked.
Did he play on Saturday
Well, he
night?
had one-timer in the second period like that. It was like, that looked dangerous. But outside of that, he wasn't a dangerous 5-on-5 player. Marchessault, I noticed. They missed Yossi. They had Blankenship running at the power play on the back end. That's not.
Yeah, Yossi's a stud, man. That's significant, but that's at the core of it. Again, that is where I have to fight back on. People are overreacting. They're not overreacting. Yes, they won the previous 3 games, but it's because of the connection to what they're chasing here, and that's what I think is different. Is again, if Florida was 12 points up and a lock to win the division, and the Leafs were playing Tampa, then I think most Leaf fans would actually kind of be asleep right now.
Yeah,
just get there. Maybe fight for home ice. That'll be great. Maybe Marner hits 100 points, awesome, and Willie gets to 45 goals, and Austin chases down something, and the new guys settle in, and who's going to be there's always things to talk about that people will be connected to, but it's not going to drag you in. Because honestly, the Leafs have not had a regular season that drags you in as a team in quite some time. Matthews chasing 70 this time last year was really starting to flare up. This time last year, it was like, all right, this cat's chasing 70. This is amazing. This year, you're chasing the division, and they still can win it. They're 2 points behind Florida. I think they have a game in hand, and they still play them 2 more times. So there's ample opportunity for them to kind of rope-a-dope this and get there. And you got Philly tomorrow night, a team that is kind of crawling their way to the finish line.
Gave up a touchdown last night.
Yeah, they're kind of just, and then you're in San Jose.
Yep.
Tough travel in a late game, but you got to win that game.
Yeah.
So you can pick up 4 quick points in the next 4 days, and then you're right back on the saddle.
You're right.
There it is. Positive thoughts.
Got to look at context. That's. In the end.
It won't be positive, though, Noodles, because they'll win, they'll beat Philly, and then they'll beat San Jose, and then the Leafs fans are going to be happy for 2 minutes, and then they're going to say, if they had to beat Nashville, they would have been in first place.
If they miss by a point or 2, there's going to be a forensic auditing here
in the end,
you're
going to play a good team regardless. You got to worry about your game. That's the way I see it.
You're right.
I still, and I was posed this question today, 12 games away, who's starting in net game 1?
Honestly, I continue.
I said Stolarz.
I think it probably is Stolarz.
But with the short leash as to I can't tell you why not Wool, but I can't tell you why not Stolarz. Like, both of them collectively, Stolarz has 0 starts in the playoffs. He has 1 appearance. Woll has 4 starts. So it's not like they have a wealth of experience, but it's who you're going to trust, who you got a gut feeling about. I did say Stolarz watched and went to a Stanley Cup final last year, but watch the experience, watch Bobrovsky go through it. Like, maybe
there's probably some value in that.
I do.
You guys both know that if you asked, let me ask you this: if you asked Chief right now and said, if you asked him, do you know who's starting Game 1 of the playoffs? Do you think he would say yes?
No, I don't think he would.
Well, you're talking privately, like not announcing it on the show. Of course, on the show.
Yeah, like if you just had him
at
you had a coffee with him in the stands before a morning skate, and you said, "Hey, do you know right now who's going to be starting in Game 1?" I don't know if he says yes. I know. Well, this might come down to the last week of the season.
But that's where the platoon system comes in. Now, Boston used it until they didn't. Right? So it was, hey, remember we were talking about on the show, it's like, it's going to Allmark, it's going to Swayman, and then, Swayman won and they went to Allmark.
But they also committed to that plan weeks in advance.
Exactly.
And they made sure everyone knew it. Like, remember Montgomery said it after Game 1, where he said, we have a plan and we're going to stick to it and you're going to see it. And that kind of tipped everyone off. Allmark's going in Game 2.
Right.
Like, Swayman started Game 1, Allmark, and Swayman played really well and they won that game. And then Allmark went in, and everyone realized, okay, they made up their mind like weeks before, regardless of what happens. And that would suggest, because we're only a few weeks out.
4 weeks away. We're 4 weeks away.
I think he knows. I think he knows.
How does he know, Hayes? What are you talking about?
Dude, they played 70 games.
Yeah, but what?
What else are you waiting for?
Of late, Stolarz early was the guy, and then he hasn't been as dominant, and then Woll's come on. Like, I got to say one thing. I thought it was insane to even think about a 2-goalie kind of rotation in the playoffs. But if that's what these guys want, man, go for it. Go nuts. Have at it. Like, if that's what they want to do and they play better with, like, a rotating thing, I've always said if you've got 2 guys, you don't have one. I hate it. I think it's stupid, but I'm almost on board with it if that's what they need. Like,
what's
Hazy.
That's disappointing to hear from you.
Because
that's disappointing to hear from you.
Because
I hate it.
You're a shell of your former self, and I hate to see it.
A year ago, you were yelling about Boston's goaltending, going, "It's ridiculous." Here's the thing. You're right. The old saying, if you have 2 number ones, you don't have a number one.
Right.
Because you're always second guessing. So let me paint a picture for you. Game 1, pick a goalie, Stolarz. Stands on his head. It goes to the triple overtime. They lose 1-0. Mm-hmm. Well, you lost. What should you go to Woll? What do you do?
Yeah, you're right. I'm off it. That's all you had to say. You talked me out of it.
But what about the opposite? Game 1, Stolarz is in, gives up 3 goals on 5 shots, gets pulled.
Yeah.
Wall stands on his head. Yeah. Who starts Game 2? Regardless of the result. Probably Joseph Woll.
Got to go after Woll.
I guess so.
Like, I guess my whole thing is it's situational.
I'm very uncomfortable with this whole situation.
It is, but it's
very unsettling.
Listen, most teams are like that now.
No, they're not. Not the big boys.
Not the top tier teams.
Let me ask you
like
this.
Hellebuck, Logan Thompson, Vasilevsky, Bob.
Hayes, you're chief.
Yeah.
You're in your desk. You're in your office. You got your feet up on your desk. Stolarz and Woll come in and they say, "We're both comfortable kind of rotating. What do you think, Coach?" What's your answer?
I hate hearing that. I hate that attitude because that means I want them coming in saying, I'm number 1.
I want the net.
I don't want to ever see this guy again. I want him, Jerry Sparks, on a different rink when I get into the playoffs. I want
him on pad 2 warming up.
Yes. I want him in a flat brim St. Pat's hat. On the other rink.
At rink number 8 at the MasterCard Center.
I want him at George Bell while we practice. That's the attitude I want. I want these guys to come in. I don't want them kumbaya, holding hands, saying we're all in this together. No, you're not.
All right.
I want a dogged attitude.
I had a moment of weakness, and I apologize that I even thought that. I guess it's because I can't decide, because I know there's quizzes coming up.
Yes.
And there's going to be one saying, who is the starting goalie for the Leafs in the playoffs. And it's a week-by-week thing. It's been flip-flopping all year.
But maybe I guess this is why I would say I think Berube would have an answer, and I think it's an organizational conversation. They'd all be in on this over the course of the season. But Stolarz, based on his play, I think he's had the upper hand. Like, he's played very well all year. His stats have been great. He's been very consistent for them. He's won them a lot of games.
Yep.
So the case for Stolarz from that standpoint, if you're jockeying based on what happened during the regular season, I think Stolarz is your number one guy. But I'm not convinced Wall won't be the guy in the end, because I think they look to him as a guy that has the potential to be a clutch goalie.
The more upside.
The more upside, and a guy that in the moment has shown them at times already as a Maple Leaf, the lights are not too bright for him. And I do think that is something that has to be considered in this conversation when it comes to Stolarz, that he just hasn't been given that opportunity. Right. And maybe he thrives. But if he doesn't, you're putting yourself in a bad place. Like, if you put him out there and you're like, okay, we're going to commit to him for 2 games because we owe him that. He's had a great year and we want him to be our number one.
Right. And
you're down 2-0 because it's just a couple of bad goals, flaky goals, or even just Samsonov-like goals. Yeah. Right? Not doesn't get shelled, but 2-2 in the third, and some guy comes down the wing and floats one in and it goes in.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, got to have that.
Where was that? Wasn't that?
That was Trent Frederick last year. It was on. Right. It was right after they tied it. Bertuzzi tied it, I think, to make it 2-2, and he came down and floated one down the sidewall.
Blocker side, right?
Yes. And it was a brutal goal. That could not go in. It was a backbreaker.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you have to be considering here, and I'm sure what they're thinking.
Right.
It's not necessarily like who's the best statistically, who's in form. It's who is not going to break our back.
So trust, like
and I think you can make the argument Wall could be that guy, because he has proven that in the playoffs in the past.
Until he didn't.
Until his back blew out and he didn't show up.
Though. That's
or whatever blew out.
So Craig Berube wasn't here for Game 7. So he did not live through whatever the hell that was.
All he has to do is ask
7.
somebody that was there what the vibe was
Tree
like.
Living was there and Shanahan was there.
But he's going to make up his own mind. But you're right. Game 7. Do you remember that whole nonsense? Like, there was whispers as like, hey, Joseph Wall, like, hey, Samsonov.
It was shocking. It was an insane development. Day of the game.
Right, like, because he was that morning.
I just remember a Drager tweet. Joseph Wall's not playing tonight. I think I was driving.
It was staggering. It was absolutely staggering.
That won't come into play, but if, like, you look
now
for
this
many
year
tiebreakers.
he's played. This year he got injured off the bat, like out of the gate to start the season, and it was a horrible start for him because of what it. Last time we saw him, it was.
Well, he wasn't available for Game 1.
It was a shoot-pull Game 7. Yeah, he wasn't available in Game 7. And then Game 1 of the season,
he was not available.
Same thing. Like, basically, day of, you're like, Joseph Wall, I don't think is playing tonight.
He's
and
got
then
a
all
little
of a sudden,
something going on. And
then he didn't play. But since then, he has been healthy.
Yes.
And he's played through everything.
Worked through that. And
nothing, like no hiccups or anything.
Can't look back. But I still believe, I just went with Stolarz on age, size, the way they play in front of him. And it's got nothing against Joseph Wall. I agree.
So Stolarz would be your guy.
But I don't have a definitive, like, technical answer for you. It's a gut feeling going, I look at Stolarz when he's been healthy. He's been very consistent. He's played well. The style that he plays, like, and this is a Freddie the GOAT comment from Babs, but 6'6" is 6'6", right? Mm-hmm. Like, he covers a lot of net.
Every
day. And to me, I like Joseph Wall's game, and I don't disagree with you. I think the ceiling is higher for Wall. I think 2 years from now, it's Wall's net, and we're not even we're not even discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now in this scenario, there's still a great unknown because, again, Anthony Stolarz has 0 starts in the playoffs. 0.
Yeah.
Like, I have 1.
Yes,
like,
you were ahead
crazy.
of him, hockey DB.
But I think he's got a lot of, like, jam, and I think he plays hard, and I think he would be given the opportunity. But you're right. Like, I think Craig Berube and his staff would probably have an inkling of who they would lean to. But either way, it's a short leash because you've got a guy who's capable sitting beside you, where it's not your traditional 1 and 2. It's Hellebuck and Eric Comrie. It's Hellebuck, his net. It's Vasilevsky's net. It's just Sturkin. I don't think they'll make it though. That Ranger team, man,
they were awful.
Well,
like
they won on the
Vancouver,
weekend,
it was a miracle because Lankinen was terrible. But and Demko might be returning actually.
Yeah, tonight.
Have you ever seen a team, the Rangers, where it seems like they lose 8 in a row and then they win 1 and they're right back in the play? It's an amazing, like they're just hanging around. They're terrible for a week straight. They win 1 and it's like, back in it.
Yeah. Well,
I think they're
point
awful.
Out.
They're awful,
they look
man.
terrible, man. They look lifeless. Like they had 13 or 14 shots the other day.
13 against Calgary in the back and lost. No, this is the one.
This one they beat Vancouver. They had 12 shots, and one of them was an empty netter.
Yeah.
Their 12th shot was an empty net winner.
So in 2 games, because they had 13 against Calgary.
Yeah.
Check to see how many they ended up with against Vancouver. If it's a 12 or 14. Let's round up to say 15. You're under 30 shots in 2 games.
2 combined games.
I don't know, watching that team, there's something missing, and it's not, the JT Miller effect or whatever. That team, there's something there. Like, I don't know. It's a
bigger problem.
Yeah, they don't deserve to get in. Like, I don't want them to get in. Like, I have no interest in New York getting in. Like the Islanders, a good story. They're hanging around.
Pierre
Engvall and the Islanders.
They
are you on the Islanders? Your cheat team?
No, God, no. I have no interest.
I'm on
in
Montreal.
I want Montreal to get in because I will say this: the Habs are thoroughly entertaining.
Yes,
they are fun to watch. Like they battled back on Saturday. They were down, I think 3-0 and 4-1 at one point against Colorado, and they storm back and they get into overtime, and it was kind of a crazy overtime. And
if there's a playoff deservometer, the Habs should be the first wild card.
I agree because they're keeping their heads above water and they're battling and they're picking up late points, and they did that against the Islanders. They did it against Colorado. They lost, but they got that extra point.
Yeah, which might put them in the playoffs.
It might. It might. Like they're right there, man. It's fun to watch them, and like the Bell Center's alive. Montreal, I'm always going to root for a Canadian hockey market.
You've got Montreal, the Rangers, and the Islanders, and technically Columbus too, because they're right there.
They've lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, Columbus is in one. Detroit's in one. Boston's in one. They're gone.
Boston's gone.
But so let's.
I think Detroit's probably gone.
Let's be realistic though. Let's go Columbus, Islanders, Rangers, Montreal. I think Ottawa is sneaking there, but they won. They got to get. They got to continue.
They're in the driver's seat though.
They are in the driver's seat, but anything can happen. So out of those 5 teams, you got 2. I mean, I see Ottawa as a team that can make it. So there's one spot.
Yep.
I think we would all agree or close to it. So now you've got Montreal, Rangers, Islanders, Columbus.
Yeah, and it is going to come down to the wire.
I think
they're all flawed teams. They all have had their ups and downs. None of them, it's who's going to get hot with the final 12, 13 games left.
On paper, it should be the Rangers, but it's not. It's Montreal.
I don't think it's. I don't think the Rangers. I mean, unless they just miraculously snap out of it. But why would they all of a sudden game 72?
Yeah.
Like they've been so disappointing all year.
What about the Islanders?
The Islanders are there. I mean, to their credit, like they've got a goalie who can do it. Like that's the thing. Like what's going to happen in net? It feels like to me, it's Canadians, Rangers, Islanders now, and I'll lean Habs because Montembeau's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Their top line.
That top line, that Slavkovsky got 2 the other day. He's a nice player. Just took him a couple. Like the crazy part is he's 20. Like we forget, and he's a moose of a person. And Suzuki, like that team, watching them last week against Ottawa, Montembeau allowed a wrist shot from Travis Hamonic for the go-ahead goal. That made it 3-2. And I thought to myself, that's curtains. Like Ottawa had a little juice, quieted the crowd. They came right back and scored. Like they're a really. It's almost like they're willed. Like they got something there.
Yeah, they do.
Going on.
They're leading the league, I believe, in third period comebacks.
Yeah,
which is a sign of you're digging yourself a hole. You're playing with fire if you're in Montreal, but there's also a testament to the willpower of the team and the fact that they see some life and they see some light at the end of the tunnel. All right, so we've got Bruce Boudreau coming up today. Jesse Marsh will be on the show. Canada, 3rd place. They beat the Americans yesterday. Marsh got a red card and booted because he was snapping yesterday. So we'll ask him about that whole process. And what is the significance of this? They went to win it. They didn't, but they beat the Americans now, and that's twice in a row they've done that. That's something that rarely happens.
Yep.
So we'll catch up with the head coach of the men's national team. That's coming up in a couple of hours. The Jays, the 26-man roster is set. They're back home. Home opener on Thursday. Richard Griffin will join us. Alejandro Kirk with a 5-year deal. Kirk getting a big deal. A lot of commitment, a lot of money. He had a good spring. He's ready to play. He's ready to perform. We'll ask Griff about that and what it means for him, his future, and the rest in terms of moving money around for the Blue Jays. So that's coming up later this afternoon. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. I was surprised to hear that we haven't had a goalie fight in the NHL since 2020.
Did you want to see a dust up last night?
Yeah, Swayman and Kuemper were going to go, and the refs jumped in. All three of them, or three of the four, jumped in immediately and stopped that action.
See, I think they should have let him go, only for one reason. Is Kuemper actually started the fight. Because Kuemper...
Yeah, he was pissed.
He was pissed that he got run into. So he grabs the head, I can't remember, of 92. And so Swayman comes down and they drop the glove. Let him go.
Yeah, exactly.
Although... Do you remember Mike Smith and Cam Talbot? Mike Smith is a big, big boy. That fight was...
That was the last one.
Yeah.
But that's 5 years ago.
Smith knocked him down.
5 years ago.
You remember, who was it Rick DiPietro and Brent Johnson? Brent Johnson broke his Brent Johnson was a lefty, and he was a big guy. I played with him in St. Louis, and he could fight. And DiPietro, who had been on and off injured his whole career, drops the gloves, and if you see if you can pull it up.
I don't remember that fight.
It's a left, and it hits DiPietro in the cheek. It breaks his cheekbone. He's out for months again.
For 15 years.
For 15. The
rest of his contract.
So, in my era, I think the toughest goaltenders, there was a lot of them. But
wow, what a quick pull.
What a great pull.
Joe from the Bridge is on fire.
So, DiPietro's playing for the Islanders, and Brent Johnson's playing for Pittsburgh. They square off, and we're watching it. Like, this is, watch the left.
DiPietro has no idea what he's doing. Like, you can just tell the guy.
That was me versus Sheldon Keefe. I was like, all right, let's drop the gloves. Yeah. Skilled defenseman from the Quebec League.
Sheldon Keefe.
One punch like that.
But that's Keefe.
And then you're like, he's from northern Alberta or something like that.
He is.
He hunts bears.
Exactly. Tough as nails. But my memory, and I'm sure there'll be a few others, but Ray Emery was legitimately like a tough guy.
Emery could fight.
Emery could fight. Dan Cloutier.
Yeah, he had a loose cannon type vibe to him.
He had a Lieutenant Dan. I love Dan Cloutier. Like, love
Old school bucket, too. Remember his helmet?
So I felt bad because I've been involved in a couple. Dan Cloutier, I think it was Tommy Sello, and I was on the bench, and Cloutier was playing for the Rangers, and he went crazy. And Sello came in third. Like, it was ugly. But that Dan Cloutier was like player tough. Like,
he had that reputation. I think he fought a couple players.
I think he did. Like, Billy Smith, there's the old school one on Instagram where he waves off and he fights Lanny McDonald.
Okay.
That one is
and Lanny was tough, man.
Well, so was Billy Smith.
Okay.
Billy Smith dropped the glove.
Guys. I'll tell you one thing about that Swayman incident. I think Swayman, I don't want to read too much into it, but Zadorov had some comments after the game. And I don't know if Swayman's routine is kind of wearing on people. Zadorov, I don't know if we have that clip, but he was asked. He's like, Zadorov was like, they was asked,
like
what
who?
He's like, what do you think about Swayman, like protecting all of his team? And Zadorov was like, oh, is that what he was doing?
Okay, I think we have it. All right, let's play it. This was Zadorov in the scrum afterwards about the Swayman almost fight with Kuemper.
Do you guys appreciate that Jeremy stuck up for Lucini out there?
Is that what it is? Okay. I don't know. No comment.
No comment.
So I don't want to go down a road where maybe Swayman's actions getting a little bit thin, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but he didn't exactly seem like he was
That's a weird
that was-
response from a guy that, like, Zadorov is not exactly Zdeno Chara.
Right.
The whole team's playing poorly.
Yeah.
Swayman has been awful lately.
Yeah,
like his numbers are staggering how bad they are, and the team's put up the white flag and they've been bad.
Yeah.
But I don't. That is like, why do you no comment?
Well, Swayman,
That's what I said. I don't want to like dig deep
I know
into this.
it's a weird one.
But it's a weird one, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a weird one where usually you'd say, that's what Swayman's all about, man. He's my guy. He looked at the guy and said, oh, is that what he was doing? No comment.
Well,
It is
I was
weird.
like,
That was weird.
There has been. You mentioned it off the top that people are ornery right now.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
At
everyone,
golf tournaments, at soccer matches. Let's play Sheldon. We got 2 clips here. Johnathan Kovacevic and Sheldon Keefe over the weekend.
That one was insane.
This one is wild. So Kovacevic is a defenseman for the Devils. Yeah. And the amazing thing that you have to keep in mind, and I'm not taking a shot at him, this is just a fact, because he's talking about playoffs. He's never played a playoff game in the NHL.
Kovacevic, no.
Kovacevic has never
He was
played.
talking 2-year,
Now, guys,
2-year
the best
tenure.
thing
That's what
about
he was.
this thing, early in the season, Kovacevic scored, and Sheldon Keefe came out, and he's like, that's Kovechkin, my guy Kovechkin.
Okay, well, here's how he feels about Kovacevic. These are the comments and then the response by Sheldon Keefe.
We're in a fight, and hopefully that, gets us in that playoff mentality, 10, 11 games out, and we carry that into playoffs. So, obviously the results are tough, but we're in a fight here, and we're not going to back down.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality going down the stretch here. Is that something
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
That would help.
That would
Then
help.
he walked off.
And then he's gone. He stormed off.
That's a mic drop, but I don't even know. Like, do you blame Sheldon or do you blame
Absolutely
Kovacevic?
not,
No.
Noodles. Because when I saw Kovacevic, is like some of these guys, they get in such a routine, and it's such player-coach speak where it's been drilled in, and they have all these cliches and terminology that they throw out there, and he's like, we got to get into a playoff mentality. You've heard it from the Leaf guys for 6 years here. They say all this stuff, and it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's not real deal stuff, which real deal stuff would be, we're not playing that good right now. I got to play better, and we got to snap out of it. Instead, he came up with all that mumbo-jumbo, and the coach is sick of hearing it too, and he's like, he's just got to play better. Start there.
Yeah, exactly. That is. I like that Keefe has been unleashed down in Jersey. Like he's always been a fiery guy.
It was. I still think it started about a month before he ended here. Remember, he was kind of shooting from the hip and kind of like.
There was a video
was
of him losing it on a guy behind the glass. He was snapping.
But I think it's like, I think he knew the landscape here. He was so buttoned up here. And then about a month before he was done here, I felt like he kind of loosened the reins. And now in New Jersey, he's like, I'll do or say whatever I want because I'm coaching this team. And you're right. Like he was a fiery player.
Yeah, he's always been a guy that he runs hot, man.
I love Sheldon. Like
And-
we know him.
Yeah, well,
personally.
listen, they're in one right now.
Yeah,
like
of
they're
course.
holding on for dear life, and they're not defending well. They're giving up a lot. Markstrom's really struggling when he's been playing. Like since returning from injury, his numbers not good, and they've lost Hughes for the year, and yet they made acquisitions at the trade deadline to try to bolster the team and say we're not mailing it in here just because Hughes is gone, and Hughes was injured before the deadline. And they're likely still going to make it. It would be a full blown 18-wheeler if they fell off.
Because the Rangers would have to catch him. That's it.
Or the Islanders, but because the Islanders could too. They're 6. Like the Islanders are 7 points back. The Rangers are 6 points
well,
back.
the
It would be
Islanders
shocking
have 2 games in hand too. That's the crazy.
And I'm sure that I'd have to look at the schedule. I'm sure they play each other, but. That's a guy he's getting nervous down there a little
Running
bit. I think
hot.
Sheldon,
Sure.
because they're losing a lot of games. They're playing poorly. They're giving up a ton. And you're right. Kovacevic is a guy who he's been in the league for a few years. He's a depth guy. No playoff history, which I always find kind of funny when you're drawing on playoff experience.
Yeah.
When you don't have any, we got to just have a playoff mentality. When have you played playoff games in the NHL? And Keefe is just like, I don't want to hear that. Because you're right. I'm not like Kovacevic is saying what he thinks you're supposed to say there.
Right.
That's it.
It's a classic. You know what I got to say is we got to play like it's game 7.
Yeah,
and
play
it's
hard
like, and Keefe's just like, that was a name that was triggering because he saw him play. He must have seen
Yeah.
something that night where he was like, I can't believe this guy right now.
I know, but why don't it, like honesty will just help you as a player because it just doesn't come out like a crock of you know what.
Yeah.
And you could say something as simple as this. My playoff experience is clearly limited, but what I know is we have to play better as a team, and I have to play better as an individual if we even want to get there. End of story.
Yep.
And if you say something like that as opposed to the playoff mentality and you throw out cliches, anybody with half a brain can see it. And there's no substance to it. It's nonsense and it's garbage.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
why-
what the coach thought of it too.
Well, that's why. But you'd have to go back and look at that particular game. Like, was Kovacevic like -3? Like, who's putting him in the media too? That's the other thing is who, the PR person should understand. Okay, we're in one. We just lost. Who could I put in the media that would say the right things and all of that? Like, I don't know. The media's going, hey, we need to talk to Kovacevic.
Yeah,
Like, he's the guy.
Well, put Brett Pesce and the captain in front of the media,
Yeah,
then
put
and leave the
Heischer
kid alone
out.
and don't put him
Right,
in
like
there.
it just.
Well, exactly. Like he's not. I think he's 27 or something. He's been in the league for a
There's
few
also
years.
guys that hang around and they can't. Like other guys are in the shower and it's like I'm not talking to these people,
Well-
and other guys just hang around.
yeah, there are guys that
There's slow
really
guys that are like, hey, I'm over here. Anybody
are-
want to chit chat?
I
Right.
played with a few guys that would literally be the slowest undressers, like waiting for because there would be either a healthy scratch or a guy who played 6 minutes that night. And he's quoted in the paper the next day. You're like, why is that guy talking? He didn't even play.
Right. Who are you with?
Yeah,
the Newark
like,
Star Ledger?
it
Yeah,
just,
I could have a word with you.
It's funny because we'd have to go back and look at it.
Well,
Like, I watched that game, but I just don't know if
it's not
Kovacevic
a
was guy.
media market either that's like flooded with, we had Keefe on earlier this year. It's like no one's ever asked me to talk before the game in Jersey. You know what I mean? Like there's other things going on down there. There's a few beat reporters, probably a couple of media that work for the team. And anyway, Kovacevic ends up speaking, and Sheldon gave a great answer. And it had Garrett Sparks, Mike Babcock vibes to it. Remember, we referenced that last week where Sparks says something cliched, and then they go to the coach, and Babcock's head explodes because he can't believe it's coming from that source. And this is the same thing.
It's the exact same
where
thing.
Keefe would have a different reaction if it was Heischer. If
Right.
Heischer just said he would probably breathe a little bit and then give a bit of a different response. And maybe sharp. It may be, hey, Nico's got to be better too. We all got to be better. It would not be the same.
No,
But
because he interrupted the reporter.
Kovacevic
We got to
needs
listen
to
to
play
it again
better.
because watch Sheldon's
That would
face
help.
when he says Kovacevic. Like he literally was like, "This guy's talking."
Yeah, he is. It's staggering to
It
him.
is like.
Let's hear Sheldon one more
Okay,
time.
one more
Can we
time.
fire him up?
We're in a fight, and hopefully that gets us in that playoff mentality. 10, 11 games out, and we carry that into playoffs. So, obviously the results are tough, but we're in a fight here, and we're not going to back down.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality going down the stretch. Is that something that
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
He literally interrupted. It was like he just needs to play better. And you
you
know
couldn't
what?
have said a worse name.
Kovacevic did nothing wrong.
No.
He was
When that
interviewed.
reporter
Just give
said
it an
the
answer.
name,
Yes.
it literally made his whole head want to
Yes.
pop off of his body.
You could not have said a
But-
worse name in that
No.
moment than Kovacevic.
Looking at the stats, like he played 17 minutes that night.
Yeah, he's
He
a
had-
third pairing guy.
He had a penalty. Like that was it. Like he's actually on their second pairing, but he's a guy that they do rely on, and he's just a stay-at-home kind of solid
Big guy,
defenseman.
good Hamilton boy.
But yeah, like
Love it.
listen, we got to give him love. But it's just I'm looking at that. I don't think there's anything he said that should trigger a reaction like that, other than the fact that you're right. He doesn't have playoff wins and doesn't have a cup.
Yeah.
Doesn't have anything.
Like
It's
it's
just like, hey,
that's
we
a comment.
need
Like
to
if
play.
Drew Doughty says,
Yeah.
hey, we got to draw on what we've done, and I need to be better because I've been in Cup finals and shown up, and
Right.
then it's like the coach is probably in a different position,
Yeah.
but
You got
everyone's
to be
on edge
careful
right
after
now,
a loss,
man.
man. You got to be careful after a loss to just throw out cliches.
That
like,
Jerry
That's
Sparks.
right.
We got to dig that.
Oh, we got it,
If
man.
we
We got to
get-
get Babcock's response is what we need to get because we can find Sparks.
Oh yeah, Sparks.
I
with the
need
flat brim
Babcock.
hat and
Because
like,
Babcock was,
he was silent for a second. I think he had to collect himself.
yeah, I think he wanted
why?
to.
What Babcock reacted to Sparks?
It was the exact same thing.
We
The media
talked
went
about
in and just said, hey, Garrett Sparks just said something. And Babcock was.
Can we take a break and play it?
Oh
we
my
got to
God.
find
We
it.
got to find it, man.
I don't know. O wasn't on the show when you and I were talking about
Oh, yeah,
this,
you
right?
must have
'Cause
missed. Oh, you might have been in Florida
It
or
was
something.
Jerry Sparks, because we were talking about those St. Pat's jerseys, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like those games have always been wild. And I said, I think there was an Ottawa game.
I was on the show. I remember you guys too.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
talked about that.
All right,
Okay.
so we'll try to find it. We'll see if we can find the Babcock response too,
Yeah.
because it's the best, and the media loves it too. They're like, "Oh, this is great. I got to go ask Sheldon." Because he probably knows, like maybe the media's spoken to him off the record. Who's bothering you these days? Kovacevic is driving me crazy. And this guy's like, I got a great quote. I'm bringing the heat right into the coach's room here. All right, Bruce Boudreau in about 20 minutes. Bruce can speak on that.
Oh, yeah.
What it's like. We'll ask him, like, have you had any experiences like this where some guy said something and you could not compute that thought? Like it immediately triggered a response. We'll get to that. We've got Jesse Marsh again coming up later this afternoon. CJ on the show. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Bruce Boudreau coming up. I've got my rankings of the 7 Canadian fan bases and how they're experiencing the stretch run right now.
Just their general feeling.
Yeah, like how much it's like a fun meter, basically, like how you're enjoying this ride right now. I mean, it's a time capsule, right? So this can change night in, night out, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We have the Sparks and Babcock here. I don't remember the Babcock. I got to be honest.
I don't either.
I remember us talking about it and kind of laughing about it, but I don't remember exactly what he said. Here is Garrett Sparks. This was after a game wearing the St. Pat's gear after they got shelled. You got to remember, this is his rookie year.
Yes.
And this is what Garrett Sparks had to say about his suggestion for how the team needs to respond to a loss like the one they had in Ottawa.
We need more emotion. I'm an emotional player. I need more emotion. We need more emotion from everybody. We need people to get angry. We need people to step up and be mad and take it personally.
On the ice, in their own boat.
Wherever.
Okay. I actually kind of like that messaging now. Years later, I'm kind of like, yeah, he's right. They do need to be a little bit more
I don't find any, like,
pissed off.
It might be surprising coming from him, but I didn't mind the comments.
I know,
didn't
but
mind them then and now.
It is, again,
Just
context.
yes.
Like his 10th start or something, rookie in the league.
And he gave up like a $6.
And
like
he
it
got
was something.
shelled.
Yeah, it didn't
and
go well.
He's a passionate guy. He needs everyone else to be more passionate. Now, this is Babcock the next day responding.
Sparks came out after his last start and said the team needs more emotion. Does that put more pressure on him coming into this next start?
I would think so.
What are you expecting from him?
I expect him to play well. I just know in life when you own everything yourself. So the way I look at it, when the team isn't playing well, it's my fault. And it's my fault. If I take responsibility for that, I can fix that. If you're the goalie and you play and your team doesn't win, if you own it, you can fix that. Anytime you're looking for any other help in life, it doesn't usually go your way. So just own what you do and play as hard as you can tonight. We're going to play hard for Sparky, and he's going to play well.
All right. Well, actually, that's not bad.
Too bad.
Not bad, actually. That's a pretty responsible and reasonable answer.
It's been
You missed the Babcock pressers?
It's been a minute since
I haven't heard that
Babcock.
guy in a while, man. Wonder what he's doing now.
Like he's not going to coach again at the NHL level.
I think that
But
was the last straw in Columbus.
But
Yeah, I
you know
think that's it.
his media messages every day. You know, guys with families. That was his, he had
we don't
The
play
scary
well,
thing
it's on
is,
me.
you know who the Chicago Blackhawks need to hire right now? Like, they need to hire Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Man, they need something. They need a lot.
They need Mike. Remember what Mike did? As soon as he came in, it was like, you're going to probably lose 3-2, but you're not going to give up a whole lot, and you're just not going to cheat the game. Like, a team like the Chicago Blackhawks could desperately use the hire, but I just think he's used up all his credit, man. Like, I don't think he can go back from that. Like, that was so stupid.
Not that organization, too. Oh.
Yeah, Chicago's got
with
their history.
Their history
Exactly.
That's
and
right.
his history just with Columbus. Like, that would be, there's zero chance that would work. You're right. There's other teams that would probably, that could use that, you know, the way that he operates as far as an on-ice structure. I'm not talking the off-ice stuff. But I just don't think, I think teams have moved past that type of scenario. The reason why John Tortorella still lasts is because regardless of what people think, he's still progressive. Yes, you don't like some of the things that he's done, but those teams compete every night.
And he's true to himself. Like
we're going to see it tomorrow, right?
Absolutely. Like he's a throwback Tortorella, but you know what you get, and he's honest about it.
Yep.
You're still allowed to be tough on players and all that kind of stuff. That's still allowed, and that's how he operates. And Philly, they've lost 5 in a row. They're in town tomorrow night, and that's when the Leafs. You got to get tomorrow night. You got to get 2 points, and then they head out west and. They've still got, you get 12 games left. It's pretty crazy. They go through California, and they play Thursday night, Saturday, Sunday, and then back and play Florida on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's like a quick trip.
That's quick.
And it's got to be a business trip. Like I'm curious to see how they respond to it because California, like you guys have always said, is generally one you circle.
Well, you
get a little sun, you get out, you get
clubs.
into LA.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to.
I don't know. Are the Leafs bringing the golf clubs on the road? I'm not sure that's going to happen.
It just depends what the pressure points are and how many days off. And that all depends on if you're doing a solo mission or are you engaging with numerous other teammates. That becomes obvious.
Right. I don't think they're going to have time out there. They're there for 4 days.
I don't think you golf. I think, if anything, it's team meals, and you're just continuing to try and bond down the stretch.
Yes. Yeah, because it's Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're out.
Yeah.
Like, it's a quick hitter in California. You don't see that often. Usually they're out there for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
But not going to be the case this time. Hour 2 coming up. Bruce Boudreau and Richard Griffin on Alejandro Kirk's deal, the Jays, and what we can expect come Thursday. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.